Raise your horns high and let your spirit flow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show. Feel the rush, let the loudness grow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show.
What do you have? I know we listened to the show and it was more music related, but it was really slow moving, boring, almost kind of forced.
Yes. Again, to the point where, I mean, the music segments, when they have them, are decent enough to listen to, and sometimes they have good opinions. Sometimes I think they're completely full of shit, or they're just guessing. But I should say, first off, happy Thanksgiving, everyone, because you're going to see this right after Thanksgiving, and we probably didn't really say that to you on the last broadcast, or maybe we did. I can't remember. But there's nothing much to say there other than they are badly in need. Well, first off, remember they had that collar that went nowhere. Yeah. So even when you took the collar, you didn't take the right one. You took some fucking Yahoo who had nothing to really put into the show. Right. Pick up the phone when any number of the people we would suggest to pick up the phone for, Bob Leather or whoever, and let them have. Tim James should actually be allowed. I don't understand what he did wrong or why he's not allowed. He's not one of us. He even got permission from Neely to come on our show, so there should be no repercussions for him coming on our show. So why not let Tim James chime in once in a while, especially when it comes to some of the bands that he knows and loves very well. Motley Crue is in the news right now for a pretty big tour that's going to be going down next year. So why would you not say, hey, Tim, what do you think about that? Would that come to Australia? Would you go to that? And so I'm just saying they could do something more than what they do, and they just don't. So.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too, when they run out of steam, everything goes back to Don Dokken, right? Like they weaved Don Dokken into, what is it, at least two, if not three of the stories. And it's just like, you know what? Who gives a shit?
Well, it started off with Neely saying that he spent Friday night driving to St. Louis or someplace to go see Dokken play a gig and do his usual assistant role or whatever he's doing. And, but, I think at this point, even Aiken just like rolls his eyes when it gets to Dokken. It's just like, here we go again. Let's just tootle down memory lane with a couple of old guys hanging out. But, let's get to that topic right off the bat. So George Lynch is saying that the band should have been bigger if it hadn't been, had the kind of the rug pulled out from underneath them there, he feels. And so, and that's a direct result of who, ladies and gentlemen? Don Dokken. Yes, because Jeff Pilson has said the same thing, that they were up for renewal. They were going to get a big payday. Don wanted the payday for himself and to not share with anyone. And so he bailed on them, went to Geffen and got the band, but it never took off. By that time in 1990, he's already a year or two too late with that style of music, because by then we were already hearing, Man in the Box by Alice in Chains is already on MTV. We already see the sea turning right when we saw Lane Stately all grungy in the fucking barn. So my point is and then, as you saw, you sent me a clip where the band's playing. Yeah. They're waiting for him to come out or do something. He's nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
And in the comments, it said that the people that were at that very show, he kept saying, hey, Kentucky. And they were like, we were in Cincinnati or whatever the city was. It was the wrong town. Right. And the other band members are looking at him like, shrugging their shoulders like, I guess he doesn't know where he's at.
It's like Spinal Tap.
if he's pissing himself, if he doesn't know where he is, if they're carrying on jams to fill time, waiting for him to come on stage when he's not coming on stage, what does this happen when you're there, Neely? That would be my question. If it doesn't, because is it because you're there and you babysit that? And if you do, why is Don not paying you full time? That should be your job. Fuck containers. You're taking care of Don.
and I think we've had the conversation of like, the guy over here on my shoulder here.
Yes.
How they rail on the guy, and sure, he's a slob. He can't sing, but he can tie his shoes, wipe his ass. He can at least he's not a dick. Anytime
No.
he gets any interview time, camera time, radio appearance, or anything like that, he's always pleasant, relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Don, who's can't wipe his ass, can't tie his shoes, and he's a total prick
Mm-hmm.
and can't sing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, Vince has a little. Now, I'm not saying he's perfect, ladies and gentlemen. We all know Vince got some skeletons in that rock and roll closet.
Yeah.
But
for
these
sure.
days, if you watch a last 5 years or so interview with him, he tends to not want to talk trash about them or the breakup or even get into it anymore. He doesn't want to even rehash stuff. Like, he doesn't seem like he carries the negative energy of that like Don Dawkins does. He seems to just walk around with this cloud over his head and shoulders, and that's just not Vince. And I give Vince credit if he had strokes, which sounds like multiple now, and got him to he got back up on stage. In my opinion, I would right now, even though I know Motley is somewhat fake with tracks, I would
Sure.
go see Motley over Dawkins any day of the week. Probably
Yeah.
7 out of 7 times. A full week of Motley, I'll do that over 5 days of Dawkins. So my point is, when I watched the most recent videos, even when he was struggling a little bit with lyrics, you could see him looking down at a teleprompter, reading the words properly,
Right.
and trying to sing them.
Trying.
That's more.
Right.
That's more than Don did at the Whiskey A Go Go. He couldn't get the
Well-
prompter thing to work. He wasn't trying to read anything. He wasn't fucking putting effort into jack shit.
And
So
there was that clip of Don sitting on a stool, mumbling his way through a song. I mean, it sounded like
yep.
he was doing like spoken word, and the other guys were just jamming out to the song. It's just fucking ridiculous.
And Andrew has pointed out a couple video clips where Don's just repeating the verses because he doesn't know the second verse or can't remember it. Which
Or
I
he's so
understand.
shit-faced.
Yeah, and that could very well be the case. I'd have to review each case by case basis and say, is this happening later in the show after he's gone to the solo cups behind the amps while John's doing some soloing, guitar solos, and he's getting liquored up? Did Neely bring the whiskey and stock him prior to show, so he's already 3 or 4 drinks deep and buzzing by the time he walks up? Which is, I 100% believe he was drunk at the whiskey, and I can understand at that kind of a thing for your buddy. If Jack's really your friend, you might want to get hammered that night. No hate. I'm just saying, you could have prepared a little bit better, or had Crenshaw or Neely in the house to go, here's the prompter, Don, just read this. You know what I'm saying?
But don't you think the big problem is the promoters that book this fucking guy? I mean,
that's definitely a part of it. I mean, here's how that, in my opinion, though, that comes to his agent. His agent goes around selling this. I mean, that's the reality. How many of these venues are really going, I need Dawkins right now, Saturday night? How much?
Sure.
That's not happening. So the promoter is going, hey, Don wants to do X number of dates next year. Here's the email. Do you want to jump on with what you've done before, type of thing? And so the guy at the Arcada knows I can only get this much money to Don and get this much of the door, and there's this much of a profit for me. Okay, cool. But the reality is, like I was saying, it's it's just interesting to me because there is contemporaries of his own that are doing far better with their brand and keeping it at a little bit higher level, both with like the quality, what the product they're putting out, the merch that they're doing, on and on. And I just don't. I guess it's a management issue. I don't know. I don't know what his case is or why it seems to be such a loose ragtag operation where he can't, has horrible sound every night. Got Neely trying to make people settle up. All these things are going on. So I don't know, man. I'm just saying, Greenbaum and Sepp is not running that way. How much bigger is Sepp than Don? Maybe a little bit, but I'm saying they probably have the same general kind of casinos and venues hitting them up to play. And Greenbaum seems to have the I's dotted and the T's crossed to get shit done right. And so I don't know. Either way, it's just funny to me because George is saying it got stolen from them, which we all know is true, and Don would say that's not true. I was just gonna get rid of George. And I saw an interview. I kind of researched that, and I found an interview with Jeff where he clearly says, "I don't ever remember Don suggesting that we just replace George and me and Mick stick around. What I remember was him saying, I want to leave the band, take the Dawkins name, and walk out the door."
Right.
So. I believe Jeff and George and Mick over Don. It's 3 versus 1, and all their stories seem to jive. And the only one that doesn't jive is the guy who can't remember. He said he was on a tour bus when John Lennon was dead. Where was this tour bus, Don? In 1980, December of 1980, you're on tour. I looked it up. You were doing club gigs in Germany, but I don't think you'd have a tour bus to do club gigs in Germany. You weren't even known at that time. So what bus are you talking about?
He's
So
so full of shit. Like, like you could dissect anything he says anymore and just find, it to be a pile of shit, really. And he's a
yes,
fucking liar. Um,
yeah.
and
Which we're
like
going
you
to get to
said,
him
yeah.
because we have quite a bit of stuff in a couple days. We're going to play to y'all in another segment. We're going to do some unsolved mysteries involving him, and like I said, I made a
Oh,
hard rock.
that's right.
I
Oh
made a
yeah.
hard rock woman video edit of
Oh.
alternative edit that I think people much would rather watch than the video that he put out. So, and then Dawn,
Does it
unfortunately,
include Taylor? Did you
no, I'm
squeeze
sure she's in.
Taylor?
I think she's the one rolling around in the puddle in the
Oh,
alleyway. I think that's she's
Jesus.
trying to wash herself off. Um, but I Dawn, unfortunately, my friend, it's never going to end because we've already uncovered the last couple videos we've been sharing with each other is you contradicting yourself and your
Right.
bandmates in so many ways that it already warrants another debunking Dawkins
Yeah.
episode, maybe more because there's so many cases of this we can find now where you're
And
just. You know,
I know we were talking about doing a thing where we do a when did so and so become uncool, right? Like the
yes,
kind of
yeah.
the jumping of the shark kind of a thing. We talked about
Mhm.
Nikki Sixx and John Bon Jovi, um, Don Dawkins too, right? Because
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
I think it did get to a point where it's like, man, I'm done with this guy, and
Yeah.
and you do give him a chance because I think like what Lightning Strikes Again, they had some pretty decent tunes on
A
there,
couple songs on there. Yeah.
but since then, I mean, it's been yeah. But we should do that one soon. I think probably before the end of the year. Do Don and maybe somebody else where we could
Yeah, and I think
pull
I
in
shared in
Andrew.
the Yeah, and I think I shared in the group with you back when a couple, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6
Hmm.
years ago, eight, whatever it was, he was doing some of the acoustic shows by
Hmm.
himself, and he sang way better doing an
Sure.
acoustic guitar in his voice than he does trying to yell over that band. I don't know what he's thinking about.
Right.
His guitar playing, for my taste, wasn't quite up to snuff. He was doing it
No.
himself and just playing power chords and stuff, which is fine. He had that down. Obviously, he knows the songs. I
Hmm.
don't begrudge. Don is a wonderful musician. He could write shit. He has talent. I'm just saying that he should have had Levin on the acoustic guitar sitting next to him, and him and Levin just sit there and let him tell some stories and do that. He sings way better, and I would actually go pay to see that. I wouldn't go
Right.
pay to see him doing the electric show right now.
Did you ever
Now,
see?
I'll preface that if they
Yeah.
were on a bill in Grants Pass with Firehouse and Dawkins and somebody else in the
Steelheart?
package, yeah, I
Yeah.
might go sit through the Dawkins set to see some of the other. We have that Queensryche headline. I would sit through it to get to them or
Right.
something. But if you just said it's just Dawn at the casino, 30 minutes up the highway, doing it with Dawkins, I ain't going.
Yeah. Did you ever see that the live album that they released in Japan, that acoustic one? Listen to that because they did a
What
video and DVD. Maybe you ought to check that out because that
what
had some good moments, but it had some really shitty. I mean, they had Pilsen singing. I thought that was good on lead tracks, and then
was this when right before they did the or right after they did the
it was right after Dysfunction.
Pawn plays? Oh,
Yeah,
okay. This is
yeah, yeah.
90s. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, like mid '90s, close to mid '90s. Yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah.
but uh, the Mick Brown, I think they had him sing one song. Not really, not really
Yeah.
good. He's a great drummer, great background
Background singer.
vocals, but
Yeah.
he's not a good lead. But Don sounded good in there in that one. But again, goes back to about 30 years, right? I mean, mid '90s. That's 30 years ago. So
Yeah.
yeah, and it was downhill from there.
Yeah. So yeah, and again, my beef with a lot of this is because I believe what singer was he railing on the last CMS? He was railing on some singer about how are these guys still trying to go out there and think. I'm like, dude, why do you not apply that
Right.
logic to your
Right.
friend, bro? Your
Right.
number one offender is the guy riding in the car with you, pal.
Right.
So I don't get it. He hammers these other dudes like, I think Vince was one of the ones he was hammering.
Yeah,
It's like, dude,
Vince was one. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just like, dude, come on. I'm just telling you right now. If you can put a gun to my head and say you're gonna go sit through 5 nights of Dawkins or 5 nights of Crew, I'm going to see Motley Crue every time. So, and that's
Yeah.
just also because let's be real, they have the money and the ticket sales to put on a show, regardless of whether it's live or not, or whether it's you don't just have to sit there and stare at one band member or the small stage, and they got pyro and screens and chicks dancing and fucking roller coaster drum sets. So. like I said, we'll just go there. So Motley Crue, Tesla, and Extreme are hitting the road next year. I think that's actually a pretty solid package. I know that Wendell and Aiken said they were $100 and something a ticket in their
Right.
area, but I found some both at the Washington date and the date down in California, the Bay Area, that were 80, $85 to have a seat
Mm-hmm.
in the mid section by the sound guy, which would probably be where you want to be. Um, so I don't know if I'm going to do it, but if my kid does decide he's kind of getting into these bands now, if he does decide he wants to see Tommy Lee, I maybe drug somewhere to go watch Motley
Right.
Crue one last time so he can see what.
Right.
And he's a drummer, and I can't fault him. T-Bone's a pretty badass drummer, so not too many. If you think about it, not too many drummers out there, you'd go like, I'd go see that band because of
Right.
their drummer, But that you guys know what Tommy does during his drum solos and all that stuff, and there is very few drummers who put on a show like
I was listening to the Ed Trunk thing, and he was assuming they're not going to do anything really big,
yeah,
because it's an outdoor, amphitheater
amphitheaters
shows. But
yeah.
I saw them at that very amphitheater doing the first Carnival of Sins, which was what? Fuck, I forget, when was it?
2005
2005. Yeah, that sounds
was,
about right. So about 20 years ago or so.
yeah.
And that's when Tommy Lee did some weird shit up from the top of the stage. And, I mean, he was still doing stuff. So I don't know. I mean, he's probably not going to do something super, super, super elaborate, but he's still going to do something.
But yeah, come on. I saw them play the Warfield, which is a couple of thousand people, and he still had the drum riser come up and eject himself forward over the front of the stage. So he was playing tilted down, like looking at you while he was doing his shit. And that was in the Warfield, a tiny place. So of course he's going to have something that's going to up. Has there been a tour where Tommy didn't have an ace up his sleeve to do something
I think
spectacular?
the only one I remember was the Greatest Hits tour, but that's because they were playing small venues. They were playing that on that particular tour. They basically
was where I saw him at the Warfield.
Yeah, they did. What'd they do? They did the Roseland Theater, which is like basically a club, is what it is. I think it's 2,500 people.
Yeah. I think the Warfield's 3,000 or 4,000 tops or something. So yeah. But anyways, that's a strong tour. Tesla will not disappoint y'all. I think Extreme is a damn good band, and I think doesn't quite get the credit that they deserve because Gary can sing and Nuno can play, and there's still a lot that they still put on the shit that sounds like Extreme. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I and like I think I mentioned to you guys, I'd be like, and my photographer buddy too. I go, well, if we go to this, I mean, it's going to be early night for me. I'll catch 2 Motley songs and be out the door. But you can't go wrong with Extreme. And I think Tesla is going to put on a decent, they'll have like an hour probably at least.
Yeah.
And even though Jeff Keith's voice is kind of a little, worse for wear kind of thing, he still at least tries to sing.
Yeah, he gets the words right, and he still appears to be like in shape, like he's not struggling to walk around the stage in front of you like Don. He won't piss himself.
Yeah.
Everything's tuned down a little bit, but that happens with all these guys with age. I think, quite frankly, they're one of the bands I think that should be on more of these packages as the middle band because they're right. They can give you 1 hour of like all those songs are going to play in that hour are songs you've heard on the radio, and even like I said, at their age, B Dub and Frank, they're holding on just fine. They don't. I mean, people can knock.
Yeah.
Brian's a little overweight, but he has some health problems if you read his book. So fuck off. And I don't know. I just appreciate that they're live. There's no bullshit going on with them. There's no fake guitars, no fake bass, no fake vocals. It's them, and so I appreciate that in a band these days. So which makes me go back to
and good songs, great songs. You know?
Oh yeah. Like I said, they're going to give you an hour of shit you've all heard on the radio. So, on that note, I was thinking though, there's been this talk that Poison was supposed to have a package of Live Nation dates, and now the guys in Cinderella were saying they were offered to reunite and have some. I don't think these bands were a part of a Motley Crue tour. I really don't, because I think that Tesla probably signed on board X number of months back to even get this thing off the road. I'm wondering if there was a whole separate Poison, Cinderella, somebody else they were trying to rig up for a couple of,
It was interesting though, because I think it's been hit and miss. I haven't really listened to Trunk live, in the last 2 weeks because he's been. I mean, I guess he has some appearances, and then this week with it being Thanksgiving week, he did make a comment that he knew of 2 bands that were offered an opportunity to reunite for the Motley tour. And I think that's where people started saying, well, it was probably Poison and Cinderella.
But think about that for a second, guys. Do you think that Cinderella is going to take Extreme slot and open?
No.
Tom
and Tom isn't going to reunite Cinderella and split
even
the money.
If he was, he's going to say maybe we're under Motley, but then we're right there. We're the next. That's second. We're not, and Poison ain't going to have that. So I don't see any way. Now maybe they may have said separately. Poison first. Hey, do you guys want to reunite and be the middle band? They said no. Hey, Cinderella, would you reunite and be the middle band? They said no. And then they got to Tesla, and Tesla like, we're already gigging and doing shit. We don't have to reunite. We'll play right now. So,
and that moved them up.
I still wonder though. To me, if you're a promoter though, the package to put together is Poison headlining, is Cinderella in the middle, is some band opening, because you have 2 out of 3 reuniting and kind of the most of the original guys.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Those bands go together with their glam type of show.
Well, think about this: you put in you throw in Warrant as the opener.
Hell yeah!
You have like you said, Poison, and then Cinderella, and then Warrant.
If I was the guy, I'd go a step further and say, give me 4 bands. We're gonna have Black and Blue, and then we're gonna have Warrant, and then we're gonna have Cinderella, and then we're gonna have Poison, and now we can charge $125 a fucking ticket, and people are gonna feel like they're getting their glam rock.
Or maybe not even. I mean, I do like Black and Blue, but maybe more of like you're a huge Firehouse fan. Firehouse has more of a notoriety and name recognition than Black and Blue.
And to be honest with you, I like them both, but I do. That's number one. I agree with you. But number one, I honestly would take Firehouse over Extreme. I would rather see Firehouse, Tesla, and Motley Crue myself. I think Firehouse is, but that's just me. But taste wise, Extreme, I like a couple songs, but they kind of sometimes get into some other shit, and I don't. It starts getting too funky and jivey. Yeah. I don't. So I'm not saying they're bad. They did put on a good show, but I've seen them twice, and it was not. I feel like I've seen enough of that. So I would definitely. Again, Nate Peck and Firehouse, if you go see them right now, he sings like everything the way it should sound, exactly like CJ would do it, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know if anybody that's even that Brett Carlisle guy is pretty close to Jack, but I'm telling you, you could put Nate and CJ in the same room and you would have a hard time hearing who's hitting those high notes, which is which. So,
yeah.
So we didn't get one package tour that could have been cool. I don't know. I think Motley, Tesla, and Extreme is probably worth the buck they're charging you. I feel like they would at least give you a show that's worth the money you're paying.
But then there was the Megadeth. That Megadeth
I have it on my list.
God. Yes. Holy shit.
Megadeth, Anthrax, and Exodus are running through Canada. And as we know, that's Dave should bring that to the States. So I don't think they are, though. I haven't seen any dates regarding that, but it's interesting that the Canucks are getting a hell of a lineup right there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know who else was Anthrax playing with next year. They're playing with somebody else.
Iron Maiden.
Oh, that's right.
And same with Megadeth. Megadeth is like the middle slot.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. So there you go. Kick-ass tours for the States next year with that too. So, and I should say on the Motley Crue thing, by the way, is I like them being in the amphitheater outdoor thing. That's my preferred way to see them. Sometimes when you get in arenas or enclosed venues, the sound is so ringy, and if you're in the wrong spot, sometimes you're getting too much of one instrument or not enough. And I think those places where it's hard to get the best vocal sound because it's flying off every wall in the place, but and many of those venues, when they play those arenas, they're not made for music. They're made for basketball or hockey or whatever, and it's not acoustically sound. At least the amphitheater, the mute sound goes out up the hill and disappears. So for summertime, at least growing up in California, I always preferred Shoreline, Sac Valley, Wheatland, or Toyota they call it now, amphitheater, the outdoor spots. So what other rock news? So my main man Doyle, his old lady Alyssa White Gloose, is out at our Jimmy,
and they. I mean, how do you? I guess I have mixed feelings about that because now you have to invest in another singer if you elect to follow the band. I mean,
Yeah.
I caught them religiously all for the last, well, except for this tour. I missed this one. And I forget what it was. There was something going on, and I was like, I'll catch them next year because they usually come back
Mhm.
the next year anyway. I guess they won't be coming back with her anyways, but
Yeah,
yeah,
she was singer number 3, right?
your singer number
'Cause it was a,
3.
yeah, there
Yeah.
was a dude and then another
Yeah.
chick and then
And
her.
then
Yeah.
Angela was the most popular, I think, and who she's actually married to the guitarist and
Mhm.
manages the band. I don't know
Yeah.
that she'll be back. I know that's one of the things that people are speculating that she's going to be back, but it's like, she's been out for 12 years. I don't know. I mean, if she did, that'd be
Yeah, and if
cool, but
yeah,
yeah.
but if she's making the right same or similar kind of dough for being a
Right.
manager and just doing it behind the scenes, sometimes that's a
Hmm.
lot easier than tugging the road and going to
I,
do all
I
that shit.
guess what I'm more curious about here is that you go from starting out with a male singer, female singer, female singer. Do you go back to a male singer
I that's
or
where
do
I
you
think they're
continue
going.
with a
Yeah.
female? I have some
I-
ideas of somebody that'd be a great fit, but she would be a female. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on kind of what direction they're going, or yeah, they're certainly not going to disband because I know they're on for a couple, I think at least 1 or 2 festivals next June, and they're
Mhm.
right on the ad mat. So I mean, they're probably going to break the new singer in the
Summer
festival
shows.
appearances next
Yeah.
year. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious who it's going to be.
Yeah, and I'm curious, what is she going to go do? Does she think that there's
Oh, she's
some?
doing like solo stuff, dude. It's not that great. I mean,
Well, that's
you
my
hope,
point.
yeah, you
What
hope
does she
for
think
her to
that's
do.
the?
Basically, she was in a like a symphonic metal band before, and I know that because I caught them, I think twice in Portland, and actually did an interview with her for the last record she appeared in with the band, before she joined Arch Enemy. Um, but she was more, it was more of, how would you describe symphonic and a lot of emphasis on like fashion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
for her to land this Arch Enemy gig, I was like, well, how's that going to work? But it seemed to work pretty well for about a dozen years.
yeah.
But now she's doing more of kind of like what she was doing before, so this kind of clean vocal, um, and then the growling. It's like, yeah, maybe you should do one or the other. And I think that's what bugged a lot of the fans of Arch Enemy, was that she was starting to incorporate a lot of the clean vocal stuff, and that doesn't really jive, with the
Music.
fan base,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. Well, good luck to her. I just wonder, sometimes these singers think that they're gonna fly out of the band and have a more illustrious
Yeah.
career, and sometimes it just goes, "Oh," and you never hear from them
And
again.
and,
And you're like,
and
well,
I
where do
don't.
they
I mean,
go?
what do you think of Doyle? I mean, he's like a 60-year-old dude that still dresses up like a ghoul. He's in pretty good shape though, but I don't know, man. I mean, that just, at what point do you just kind of give that up and just go out, you know, with the no makeup, no Frankenstein makeup or whatever.
Um, I don't think I would. No, I think he'll.
He'll
He's
do it
one
till
of
he
these
dies,
guys.
kind of like Rob
Well, I mean,
Zombie.
well, Jerry's older than him, and you never
Well,
see
that's
Jerry
true.
do an interview without the
Yeah,
black stuff and the lock in
yeah,
his front of his face, and they
sure.
still do that, and that's like their thing, just like Kiss and makeup. It's their
Well,
it's
that's
their
true.
signature look. So I don't see that. My take on. I have an interesting take on Doyle,
Yeah.
but that's because I actually, I don't know how can I say this diplomatically without outing people. Um, I know or knew
Hmm.
his ex girl. Well, I don't
Oh,
know if they were ever actually married, but they
yeah.
lived together a long
Was she
time. And
vegan?
no, I don't believe she is. I
Because
when
I
I
think
bought
he.
when I took her
Okay.
to dinner and stuff, she was eating meats.
Oh, okay. Wait, what kind of
She's
meat?
well.
No, I'm going to the creepy side, like Neely.
I'm
Oh.
trying to be diplomatic with this, ladies and gentlemen. So you guys will be able to guess who this is. She was with him prior to Alyssa and
Hmm. Oh, yeah, yeah.
before the
Sure.
Misfits reunions, and she may have had something to do with wrestling at one point in time. Is what I would say. So,
Right.
what I could say, even from her stories, is that Doyle's a good guy. Doyle's not a bad guy. They didn't break up because he treated her bad, or there was just disagreements in where they were going to live, what they were going to do. She was struggling in her career. Him and the Misfits were not anywhere at reunion time at that point. His draw as Doyle by himself was very limited in clubs and bars, and taking him all across the country just to eke out that living. And so everything I've heard about him is that he's pretty true to what you see is what you get. He works out, he works on his guitars, he works in the family machine shop back in Jersey with his brother and his dad or whoever runs that place, his cousins or something. Your microphone's off. And
Yeah.
so I surprisingly, I thought I would, since they were exes, I would hear a horror story, but I didn't, based on like they were trying to be good co-parents. They have a daughter together, I believe, that has some special needs, but is doing pretty well for herself. And good on Doyle. They sound like he was a good dad, which is not something you hear about a lot of rock stars. You hear
what,
them,
like
all these
Tommy
horror
Lee
stories.
wasn't a good dad?
I don't think getting busted in the nose by your kid or kids
shit.
drowning in your pool is quality parenting. That's just me. From the way she explained it to me, Doyle would never, like, she explicitly to this day would trust her kids to go be with Doyle at his house and do it because he's responsible.
Don't you? And you probably know this. You've seen some interviews that he's done, and I think he picks up right away on people that aren't prepared, that just ask him the same generic questions, because he leaves them twisting in the wind.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's so
also
fun.
That's also a very Jersey guy.
Right.
Him and his brother both do that, and it's kind of a ribbing, sense of humor thing.
Right.
And if you don't get it, it can be, some people get offended by it. And but if you know them, probably like 70 or 80% of the time, they're just jerking your fucking chain, dude. That's just the way they are.
Yeah.
And what I appreciate about him is that he doesn't have any of the rock star ego that I can ever tell. He's very, even though 99% of America, if they know anything about rock music and saw him standing there in his outfit, you know who that is. It's Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein from the fucking Misfits. But he doesn't, I think what he does get is, you can imagine, he's got Misfits fans from 10 now 60, and they're like, just like when they do to Dawn or Vince Neil, they're to come up and go, I heard your first record in 1980 when you guys were breaking up on Halloween night. It was Glenn Danzig's last concert with you. It was the greatest concert I ever saw in my entire life. Doyle, oh my God, I can't believe it. And then he's just gonna go like, dude, dude. Go somewhere else with this, bro. I've heard this a million times.
How old are you?
So, so I could just see how a guy like that you probably are going to get better conversation if you asked him about, hey, what's going on with your guitar rig? What are you using these days? What gauge of strings you got? What kind of amps are you? He would probably get, well, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And you would get his mind going, and or weightlifting or eating vegan or whatever he's into, But if you go in there just trying to fucking swallow his nuts about Misfits, he's going to be just like Glenn. They don't fucking need to hear it anymore, dude. They've heard it for 40 plus fucking years. So they're not, I can imagine all of their patients would just be like, fuck, dude, I'll sign your shit. Just leave me the fuck alone. That's the way I would be doing it at that point. Because, if he at a Misfits gig, if he walked out of that backstage there's 10,000 people in the arena who are going to be running at this motherfucker to sign, talk, photograph. So when you have that kind of star power, let's just say, and they really have, if you think about this, Ruben, name me another band who's had as little commercial radio airplay as the Misfits and is selling out arenas.
Motorhead didn't do it. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think the closest thing is Motorhead, but they were doing like larger venues, never arenas. Yeah.
But almost every other band at that level has had to sell out to some commercialization and have songs. Even Pantera has songs on rock radio. You're going to hear Walk in these songs again, This Love or whatever. Misfits never got that.
No.
Not then, not now. They don't, you don't turn on a radio anywhere, if I ever heard, unless you're going to Sirius to the punk station, and maybe you'll get a track in there in a Blue Moon. But the fact that they can do what they do and go to the LA Forum or whatever they were doing, selling it out 2 or 3 nights back to back, is insane business for the band that has no actual track record of record sales or hit single. So, but that goes to show you that, like a lot of things, the people like what they like. It doesn't have to have a suit and tie guy telling them to like it. If the kids like what they see on stage from those dudes and it gives them that horror show they want to see, they're going to line up in fucking droves for it, dude, dressed in the same kind of shit in their
Mhm.
Halloween outfits, going in there to fucking mosh and do their thing.
Right.
And Metallica has helped with their covers.
Oh,
Other
yeah.
bands have helped with their covers, but you know, and I'm not, I will say right now, I'm a Misfits fan. I'm a Danzig fan. I've seen
Right.
Danzig live on the Lucifuge and the How the Gods Kill tour. And one of those, he had White Zombie before it was Rob
Mhm.
Zombie, and he had Caius opening. And that was who are these two bands? They're fucking amazing. And both Caius and White Zombie went on to be pretty fucking amazing bands. So Danzig has a good ear to what bands are underground at least doing that are worthy of going to get on his tours and get booked with his shows. So I give him props for that. He can be a pretentious dick like all the rest, and
Mhm.
his kitty litter fascinations with his
Oh,
cats and his
fucking-
his hoarding of the bricks in his driveway with for
Oh,
all
yeah,
those
that's
years.
right, the
No one
fucking
knew what he's going to
hoarding
do with all the what he's building with all these bricks. But he's a strange cat. But that's
Right.
always been Danzig. If you watched any of the old videos, the behind the scenes stuff, he was always been a weird fucking dude.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah.
But you can't say it, just like I was telling you, how many people have curated a legacy or an image like
Mhm.
Glenn Danzig.
Yeah.
He's like one of the only, and he's crossed over from punk to rock to
Yeah.
metal. I mean, he kind of covers the whole and there's not stuck in a genre, you know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that's rare. Most bands get pigeonholed into you're a punk band, you're a rock band,
Right.
you're a metal band. Danzig and the Misfits can go out there and have, Down on the bill, and then go
Mhm.
out there and have fucking No FX on the bill. It's like
Right.
it would still work. So weird. Not very many bands
Yeah.
can pull it. I don't know how they.
Right.
That's again the interviewers out there, you professional guys who get
Yeah.
a Doyle or a Jerry.
Well,
You'd ask them those kind of questions. That
I
would
mean,
make their mind work a little
Yeah.
bit.
I think you can go back to any of the Glenn Danzig appearances on Headbangers Ball. I mean, the Ricky Rackman interviews. He always busts his ball, and so did Mustaine. I think those were my
Mhm.
favorite. Is Mustaine, Danzig, and Alice in Chains. Those three bands. They always gave him a hard fucking time, and it was because it just shows that he was used to just winging it, and you can't fucking wing it. You need to know the band.
Mm-hmm. And they knew. I mean, let's be honest, Ricky. You might be a nice guy, but you were kind of a poser. You were just kind of shuffling along for the TV
Right.
screen and what MTV needed you to do to keep the gig, which we totally understand. That's
Mhm.
what they wanted you to do in order to get your paycheck for the gig. But bands like Lane Staley of Alice in Chains is
Yeah.
not hip to trends or whatever. You're leather this week and a flannel next week. He's gonna fucking
Mhm.
make fun of you, bro. Lane Staley don't give a fuck. He would probably make fun of anybody. He didn't give a shit. You could tell by his attitude. He was like, I'm gonna be Lane Staley and Alice in Chains regardless of all of you. So that's cool. And I appreciate that about him. That's what drew me to Alice in Chains was Lane and his attitude.
Right.
So a little guy with a voice that just like Ronnie James Dio, you go, how the fuck did that sound come out of that little
Yeah.
human being up there on the microphone?
Right.
Going back to that, yes, Danzig, he had me when I saw him on the Lucifuge tour. He came. I saw him coming from the dressing room, the side thing at the community. It was a community theater, or community center. I don't know what they called it, but it's like a smaller civic center in Sacramento. He was doing, and he had a chick, a blonde chick in all red in one arm, and he had this chick in all black with black hair, like a Mexican looking chick in the other arm, walking to the stage like that. And they were nearly fucking tens, bro. And I'm like a 13-year-old kid. I'm like, holy fuck,
Yeah.
Danzig doesn't have one hot chick. He's got
Yeah.
two hot chicks. In my mind, I was like, how many guys get to get off the tour bus with these babies at the end of the night? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but
Right.
again, another guy. When I actually got, because I'm at the barricade and he's coming around to come up the stage. When I actually standing there, I'm looking so far down because I realized he's like 5'5".
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like tiny little guy. So,
Well,
but yeah,
and
another guy who gets on stage and sounds like, and you're all, whoa.
What always cracks me up, and I didn't realize this until I started reviewing shows with photographer friends, is that they would always comp you a ticket, and they would comp the photographer a ticket, even if they didn't get the photo pass. Like, he's been notorious for not wanting people to pull out cell phones and do video and snap photos, but also like he's pretty stingy with the photo passes. And he stopped the last time that I saw him wasn't at the Roseland, but the time before that was. And he actually stopped the show, and he basically said, hey, if this motherfucker doesn't put away his phone, the show's over. And So he doesn't think twice about, calling people out. And you're right. He's got his little ego riser, because he is a short dude.
Very small guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty small.
Yeah, very ego filled, but I could also understand how Danzig, if you're listening, let me give you a tip here, buddy. What's what we're gonna do? You're gonna go on stage. You're gonna say, "I politely ask of you," because here's what it is. He doesn't like your flash. As soon as he sees these lights on the front row while he's on stage, being legitimate, if some of them were bright enough, he might get a little strobe effect and take one step off the front of the stage, go down and fucking kill himself at 65 years old and crack his head open. It's happened. Ask Stephen Piercy with his broken legs when he fell off the stage. So what I'm saying is, for those reasons, I can understand. But how you approach this, Glenn, this is how we're going to do this. You get on stage and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate if you keep your shows in your phones in their pocket until later in the show. We're going to pick one song, and you guys can all pull out the fucking cameras and let it rip on that song, and I'll, And a lot of times the fans, when you do it like that, they okay, I get it. Oh wait,
it's funny cool. You say that, because I saw and this was a while back. I don't know, probably at least 10, maybe 11 years ago. Peter Frampton, when he could still stand upright, he made that request of like, just like you said, he said, "Hey, this next song, in between songs, he says, I'm not a fan of the cell phones and the video, but you get this song, you do it, pull out your phone, do whatever you need to do. I don't think your guys are ever going to watch this ever again. But if you feel inclined to do it during this song, and then put them away,
Yeah.
and that seemed to work pretty well,
Yeah, because it gives the people their opportunity to do what they want to do, but also allows him to have an attentive crowd when he's performing. Frampton, another guy, I caught him one time at South Lake Tahoe, Harvey's Outdoor Amphitheater with, he was opening for Steve Miller Band, and that was a fucking kick-ass show, definitely worth the $50 ticket, and we're right there on Lake Tahoe. You can see the water from the fucking side of your so it's pretty awesome. But yeah, he was still standing then, but I seem to remember, I think he did the same thing. I think he said, "Wait till you do what we feel like we do," or whatever that song is at the end.
Yep, that's what it was.
Whatever. And because he said that's the song you guys are gonna probably want to record anyways, right? It's my famous tune. But I think Steve Miller kind of had the same request when he got up there. Again, if you guys could just hold off until the Joker or a couple last songs, then you could bust out your phones. And most people, if anyone did, they were so far in the back, it wasn't. But you can imagine, if you have all these people doing this over the fucking front of the crowd, it's distracting to the artists. It's distracting to the people behind them who are trying to see what the fuck's going on.
Right.
And yeah, I don't actually have a problem with some of those policies, because,
well,
some of these guys can be pretty fucking obnoxious.
Raise your horns high.